Hello, my name is Tara, and I'd like to welcome you to Literature Delights, where we aim to share our passion and excitement for literature with as many of you as possible. You're probably watching this presentation having seen our course Writing Women's Voices from Art to Fiction and Expressing an Interest. In the presentation, we will be going over what the course is about, what it contains, and giving you a quick peek behind the scenes so you can see how the online course runs. However, we do not want you to spend your time watching this video and leaving with nothing if the course is not for you. We are really passionate about helping others to love reading and writing, so we will also be explaining the benefits of writing, giving you our top tips for writing to improve mental health, and providing you with a list of reading suggestions if you want to discover more about women's voices but aren't ready to sign up for the course yet. So, why women's voices? Why have I chosen this as a topic to offer you? Well, I think women are hugely influential in so many people's lives, but rarely get the recognition they deserve. All of us have powerful women in our lives, so it is a subject we can all relate to. But how often do we read about the types of women we know and love? This is my mum, who has always been central to my life. She's an incredibly strong woman who has overcome plenty of obstacles and had many life experiences. I want you just to stop for a moment and have a think about the women in your life, about the strength they've shown, the battles they've endured. Now think about your reading and how often these types of women have featured. All of these qualities, strengths, stories are not recorded anywhere, and they're just going to disappear into the ether. This is also true of women from the past. My nan grew up in South Shields in northeast England, and she worked for much of her life like these women in this picture. She didn't stop just because she was raising a family, despite the impression we are often given of women's lives. The life of a working class woman is very rarely heard about unless it follows a Cinderella type plot where the prince comes to rescue her. How many women from your family's past fit the stereotype, or are there quite a few who subvert it? If you look at paintings of women from the past, you'll see them carrying out domestic chores such as ironing, or caring for the family with children hanging off them, or looking picturesque and perfect, all shown through the male gaze. These women's stories may have gone, but rather than leaving them being merely portrayed through a male artist's eyes, we can give these women a woman's voice and story and fill in the gaps in our fiction. Together we can do it. Virginia Woolf wrote about this in her essay A Room of Our Own back in 1929, and she said, "All these infinitely obscure lives remain to be recorded. I went on in thought through the streets of London, feeling in imagination the pressure of dumbness, the accumulation of unrecorded life, whether from the women at the street corners with their arms akimbo, and the rings embedded in their fat swollen fingers, or from the violet sellers and match sellers and old crones stationed under doorways." And I think she's right. The unrecorded lives of women. So often we have been given their life through the gaze of a man, and I think it's about time that us women came together to write a female perspective of what their voices might have been. And I really hope you will join me in doing this. On to the content of the course. Although you'll see that this says weeks, one of the benefits of this course is that you can study it when it suits you and your schedule. So if it takes 3 weeks to get through the first week, then that's absolutely fine. Content will be uploaded on a weekly basis, but it won't be removed, so you can study it at your own pace. So in week 1, we will look at paintings and learn how to use paintings to inspire ideas for our stories. In week 2, we'll be taking a look at the brief history of women's writing and the different form and structures that they've used and why. In week 3, we focus on the ways in which women have been portrayed and characterised, for example, through the use of language. In week 4, we return to art to begin considering the story you wish to develop by fleshing out some of the ideas. In week 5, you'll start planning and developing your story. You'll be looking back at what you've learnt so far to consider what form or structure might best serve your purpose, and trying different methods to bring your character to life. Week 6 and 7 is when you'll be drafting and editing your story. There will also be opportunities to share your work and receive feedback, as well as reading work by others and offering them feedback. So how is it going to work? How can we do this effectively online with no specific time commitment? Wherever you are, whatever your time zone is. Well, first of all, we will be using Google Documents, which is very simple to use. Now, for working with paintings, we will use websites that allow you to zoom in on the detail. And you will be able to use a secret Facebook group to share ideas, seek help, and ask questions, etc. Okay, let me quickly show you the Google Docs. So here we go. You can see that in Google Drive there is a folder for each week of the course. If you click on it, you can see the files for that week. So here we have an introductory video alongside a PowerPoint and a workbook. As you go through the PowerPoint, you'll be prompted to answer tasks in the workbook, and you can save a copy of the workbook under your name, and then if you're stuck on anything at any point, I can check your progress, and we're able to leave comments for each other on there with this comments function here. And when you put in your answers, you just click here, see? And you can type away to your heart's content. There's no limitation on the amount of writing that you put there. It's not like you're just given 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines. You can write as much as you like. So let's take a look at a painting on one of the sites I was talking about. So here we go. So you can see, we can zoom right out, and there you can see the painting. And then to see it in more detail, you're able to zoom in, move around. See, I'm still only partly zoomed in. You can go really far in and see incredible detail. So you're not disadvantaged in any way by not being able to visit the galleries, and in fact you're able to look in more detail this way because you're able to really zoom in. So we've chosen everything to ensure it is as easy as possible. That, you know, I'm not somebody who's massively into technology, and I want you to be focusing on the reading and the writing, not on the technology. So what's so great about writing? Why do I think people will be interested in a writing course? What did I think you will gain from it? Well, writing has so many benefits. There are physical benefits. So in a study, people found that they healed quicker after operations if they wrote on a daily basis. There are benefits for your mental health, which we will come on to shortly. Those that those who write daily tend to sleep better. Writing every day means that not only do you get more clarity in your writing through practice, but that you have more clarity of thought. Empathy. You know, when you write from another character's point of view, you have to be able to empathise with a different point of view. And creativity. If you're continually practicing coming up with new ideas, it becomes easier and you find you have more and more ideas. And me time. The benefits of doing something for yourself that you enjoy, that, you know, make you happy. That cannot be underestimated. Now, I said I was going to come back to the mental health benefits. 25% of people in the UK will suffer with a mental health problem every year. I think that is an astonishing figure and something we must tackle. Now, writing can be hugely beneficial for mental health. This type of writing is often referred to as expressive writing. Now, my Writing Women's Voices course does not specifically focus on this, but it will inevitably have an aspect of it as you draw on your own experiences as a woman. However, I am so passionate about the benefits of writing and reading that I am going to give you my 5 top tips for getting started with expressive writing and that can help improve mental health. So, regardless of whether you sign up for the Writing Women's Voices course or not, I want you to go away with some writing tasks that you can do that will help you for absolutely free, because it's something very close to my heart and that I'm very passionate about. And we have to do something about that figure. So, here are my top tips to help you improve your mental health through writing. Many people face that mental block, that writer's block as it's often called when they go to write. So what you can start doing is start just writing continuously for 5 minutes, whatever is running through your mind. Even if you feel there's nothing going through your mind, you start with, there is nothing going through my mind. I feel really silly writing this. I've no idea what to do. What shall I have for dinner tomorrow? Oh, maybe I could have such and such. And you just literally are writing down your thoughts. As you become more practiced at it, you can increase the time that you're doing that, and you will find that ideas start to appear. Write an advice letter to your younger, troubled self. Now, this is when you need to look back in your life a little bit, and possibly when you were a teenager and something seemed really terrible at the time you really struggled with. And now, years later, you've grown, you've learned from that experience, and you've dealt with it. You can write a letter offering advice to the younger, troubled you and reassure yourself that it's going to be okay. Having a rant is a great one if you're feeling really kind of het up and cross about something. So my children would tell you that I have terrible road rage, and I can get really annoyed with people if they're tailgating me or pull out in front of me or are going 20 miles an hour down a 50-mile-an-hour road, etc. So just having that rant, writing it down, getting it out on a piece of paper means it's not in my mind anymore. It's gone. I can continue with my day in a calm manner. And later on I can look back and laugh. I don't do the writing while I'm driving, I might add. When you're doing this type of writing, it's really important that you focus on feelings, not events. You need to think of the journey in terms of the journey of the feelings, and that can be really quite hard to switch to that, because often when you think about writing, you think about the plot and what's going to happen, and it's not about that. It's about really focusing on the different feelings and how that manifests itself. And then the final tip that I've got for you is to think back to a strong emotion you've had in the past, and it would need to be one that doesn't get you into a state now. If it's something that you still feel very, very strongly about, then this will be incredibly difficult to do and stressful. But think of one from the past and then just experiment with expressing it in different ways. So you could try using alliteration, using metaphors or personification, describing a setting that you think shows that emotion, writing it in letter form, write it in a short haiku poem form, but just trying different ways and keep going over it, and hopefully that emotion then lessens. So, back to the course. Again, I don't want you to have spent your time listening and watching to this presentation to leave with nothing, because it's not the right time for you now to sign up for the course. So, should you feel like this is something that you would be interested in studying, here's a suggested reading list for you so you can discover more about the topic and women's voices, etc. I'm not going to read them all out for you because you're perfectly capable of reading them, But hopefully you'll find there's something for everyone here. So from essays such as A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf to Aphra Behns' The Rover. She was a playwright writing at the same time as Shakespeare. To more modern stories such as Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And you've got classics like The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. So hopefully there'll be something there for everybody, and you're not going to leave this presentation without some way of being able to write and something to enjoy reading. In terms of the Writing Women's Voices from Art to Fiction course, we are starting to run this from the 1st of March, and we are offering an introductory offer of just £60 for those that sign up in February. And that works out at, less than £10 a week. So really great deal. If you're interested in signing up, then if you click on the link below, you'll be able to book your place that way, or you can email us at literaturedelights@gmail.com, and we really look forward to hearing from you. Bye.